live? Question mark. Here we go. We're live.
That was awesome. I did not expect that at all.
I know. Come on. Hello. Welcome back to First Frames First.
Good work, Jason Green. You are
Thank you.
true talent. That
Thanks.
was awesome.
Welcome back to the show. We've been away for a little while. I am gonna pull this in closer so I can read when people are talking to me. Here we go. How have you been, Adrian?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. Yeah. Happy to be back and podcasting once again. Look, I gotta just get this centered, otherwise you're gonna be mad here. Yeah. There we go.
We have been talking about doing another podcast for a really long time because it is something that we have not been following up with as much as we should. So it's good that we're here.
That's right. And we even have a guest scheduled for next week already, but we'll tell you guys about that later. But for now, we're really happy to have a special guest. We've been following this guy's career for years and years. We've known him for quite a long time, and it's so fun to watch someone who is working in the film industry full time, not working a second job and then being a producer. This guy is producing nonstop. It's you just watch new credits pop up on his IMDb page all the time. So we're going to get into talking to Christopher Giroux from Black Fawn Films and Black Fawn Distribution, and also just going off and time things outside of his original group time and time again. So we're going to get in and chat with a real working producer, which is pretty exciting for us. So do you want to give any quick updates before we dive into the show?
The work continues.
Yes.
We move forward, slow but sure. The work continues. That's it.
All right, well, maybe we'll give an update on what we're up to a little bit later on, but for now, let's get started.
Hey guys, I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jay. We run Fable Forest Films.
Right now, we're totally independent.
But what's the dream?
Making crazy awesome film and television for the biggest studios.
This podcast is our journey. There we go.
Hello. Welcome. Hey, that was a cool intro. I like the intro.
No, thank you. Yeah. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for being with us today. Look, we've already got some live viewers. This is pretty nice. Here we go. We got Mike Lindsay, awesome helper extraordinaire in all kinds of film related stuff in Kitchener, Waterloo.
That's right, Mike.
So, Chris, let's dive right into.
Sure.
Whenever we have a guest, we like to kind of hear your story.
Sure.
And we're gonna get into all the craziness that you've been up to these days. Congratulations, you have 2 films premiering in Fantasia this year.
Yeah.
So this is
surreal.
This is huge. But let's dive back and just, can you start by describing to our audience kind of like how you got started, what made you want to get into this, what seems like a crazy, stupid life sometimes?
Crazy. Absolutely. Stupid at times, 100%. Maddening at times, brilliant at times. It's definitely, I feel like I joke often that I live in the land of in make-believe. So it's super fun. I started in the film industry when I was about 15 or 16. I started as a production assistant on a Christian television program called TQ. It was Sesame Street for Christian youth, and that's where I got my start, and which is very bizarre if you know the movies that I mostly produce, which is, you know, very graphic horror films. But there was a television studio in my hometown of Burlington, and my aunt worked in the magazine division, and I was able to get kind of a volunteer position starting there. And I started a lot in my teenage years doing primarily Christian and kids entertainment, and traveling with some Christian rock bands and stuff like that, which is how I spent my teen years, which was a lot of fun to be flying around the world, and doing live events at 16, 17, which was great.
Were you in a Christian rock band?
I was never in a Christian rock band. I was always the assistant technical director or technical director for a Christian rock band, even though it was easier to get a work visa if you were an artist. So technically my work visa did have me registered as a triangle player, but never actually played the triangle. Never actually played the triangle in the band. But it was great. It was a great learning experience. And when I came back from being kind of on the road, kind of on and off again for about 2.5 years, I started to do some movies and work in kind of very low budget B horror movies in kind of the Hamilton Burlington area as a camera operator, and kind of just spent a lot of time on set, and you know, spent some time in Ottawa doing political videos and things like that, and doing more live events with you know, political leaders or the United Nations and things like that, and had my security clearance for a while, and which was a lot of fun and really great. And then I went to Sheridan College for a postgraduate program, and studied kind of producing there. And then after school, just kept hammering the film industry and just trying to get projects off the ground, and ended up working with Chad Archibald and Cody Callahan on a bunch of music videos. And that kind of spawned me working at Black Fawn for quite some time, doing countless horror features, music videos, and commercials. And then as the years went on there, just kept working away, and joined Black Fawn Distribution a couple of years in, with myself and Gabriel Carrere and Chad Archibald and CF Benner, and we kind of run a distribution arm of the company, even though they're kind of separate companies, but a lot of the same people.
Let's slow it down, okay? We have a couple minutes for this show. Now,
the cold notes. Yeah.
So what I want to know is, do you have behind the scenes footage of the Christian Sesame Street Muppets getting into? No,
but I do have behind the scenes photos of me working in Christian rock band entertainment world. I do have those.
You've got one. Your first Facebook photo is like you with a triangle.
It's like me, just. But it was a blast, honestly, man. I had a great time on the road. It was a great experience, and it was fun, like flying out to places on Friday night, and like, you know, spending a weekend in like Ohio, and then flying home on Monday. Like I was 17. Like it was a blast, right? And I had a great time doing it.
So how did you know? At what stage did you know that you wanted to be involved in film production?
I think like since birth, I just was obsessed with movies. My whole room was movies, and if it wasn't movies, it was action figures. And you can tell behind me still lots of toys and action figures. And I've always just been obsessed. You know, Planet of the Apes, Friday the 13th, Star Wars. Like these movies were on endless repeat to the point that I would burn out the VHS and I had to get a new one. So
now, did you have did you have those horror movies? Were they already inside you before you were with the Christian rock group?
Or? Oh yeah, I was a horror fan since I remember, like just like sleepovers as kids, like sneaking downstairs and watching Evil Dead, and I think my first horror movie that I remember was Child's Play 2. Like I think that was my first one, and I remember just being like, there are movies like this. This is wild. And then, you know, it was Evil Dead, it was Exorcist, it was all those things, you know, back to back to back, and it's an amazing genre to work in, which I love.
Adrian, what was your first horror film that you remember watching? When did you first watch a horror movie?
Do you know what? And I think about this, but I can't remember.
He's still waiting. He's saving himself. He's going to watch one eventually.
Oh,
It's going to be the best.
he's watched some of yours. I know that
He's
for
watched-
sure. Yeah.
So what do you think the first one was?
Well, I can't remember the name of the movie. I'll just tell you what happened that is burnt into my memory. Is just
Sure.
this guy got turned into a snake,
Okay.
and his mouth split open over here, and his head kind of opened up, and this giant snake kind of crawled out of his mouth. And that is just completely burnt into my memory. I was about 6 years old when I saw that. So 6 or 7.
Wow.
So I was absolutely not supposed to be watching that, but
Totally.
that is burnt in there.
I can't remember except for Dreamscape. The guy turns
Oh,
into a snake,
crazy.
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my first one was again at like a buddy's birthday party. I was never allowed to watch horror movies that young, but I think we watched The Howling. That was my
Right.
first foray. And now you had said that you went to Sheridan College for film production, or was it like television?
I took advanced film and television. It's a post-grad program. So it was a 1-year program. I think it's a year and a half now, but at the time it was just 1 year.
Do you ever talk to brand new kids that are trying to get into film, or they're like, do you ever give advice to like a nephew or somebody that you know?
Like I've gone back and I've spoken at Sheridan a couple of times, and my high school had a big film program. So I've definitely kept in touch with my high school film teacher. His name is Peter Vandermeulen, and is also credited in every feature I've ever produced.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I've done kind of talks and guest lectures and things like that as well. And we've had different PAs and volunteers and people, interns and things like that on our set to kind of really get. I was very fortunate at a very young age. I had a lot of help, a lot of very amazing people that would take me under their wing and show me some really exciting projects and take me on board at really cool stuff that really got me my start. So I'm a huge believer in kind of paying it forward and kind of finding the next class, the next generation, the new whoever to give them a start for sure. It's important.
Now, what do you think about kids these days that are thinking about film school, whether it be like a university program like a Laurier or like a Vancouver Film School versus Conestoga College or Fanshawe or Sheridan, those types of film and television production type of
I think for me, like I took a college program, and to me it was just more hands-on. Like you got to in fact like make films, and at the time it was make films on film. Like I shot on 35 millimeter and Super 16.
So cool.
So that was huge. It was an amazing experience, and I've only got to shoot on film once since then. So it was a great experience, and I'm super glad I did it. And I got to make films and make mistakes and submit 1 minute a project that was supposed to be a couple minutes, like a 10-minute cut, because you always think that oh, don't worry, it's fine, it's some a very long cut, but that wasn't the assignment, and it was training you for deadlines, and it was training you for what networks are looking for. So it was a tough program for sure. And I feel like a lot of the university programs out there are a lot of film theory, which is great and super fun and definitely fun to learn. And I love learning about the process and learning about filmmakers' techniques. The problem that I find is that you don't actually make a lot of movies, if a movie at all. And it is just that, it's just theory. So it's just very interesting for sure. And I personally love it. But I find that if you're going to get into filmmaking, you kind of have to either start making films and come up that way, which huge success, right? Like Chad Archibald and Cody Callahan didn't go to film school. Chad went for graphic design, and Cody went to like an arts program. But myself and Jeff Mahar, cinematographer and director, like we both went to Sheridan. We both went to the same program, drastically different years, but we both went to the same program. So I think that you could either go out and start making films, or go to a college where they make films. But the film theory I find is very interesting, but I don't find it applies much to the day-to-day that I encounter anyways as a filmmaker.
And before we get into the Black Fawn stuff, I'll just ask one more question about kind of new people breaking in, especially at a young age, selfishly, because my kid is going through this. what do you think these days about people just trying to go to work? So, trying to, if they've got a car and they're in Toronto and they're like, I want to be a PA, I want to do these types, and I just want to start getting involved. What are some good pieces of advice you have?
Well, in my opinion, that is the best way, like to get on set, like to get on as many sets as possible. Good sets, bad sets, short film sets, student film sets, every set possible. And the reason why is because you really do find out what style of filmmaking that you like to work in, what environments you like to work in, how people do certain things. You get to learn by example. You get to watch, even if you're as a PA, there's going to be a PA that has been PAing for a while on that set. You're going to get an opportunity to shadow that guy, even though you might say we're all PAs. That PA has 6 months to a year experience, right? So he knows the daily operations, the set etiquette, the proper way to go about like a normal film set. And then in a couple months, you're going to be that rock star PA that now has 6 months on the new guy, and you're going to be passing that knowledge down. But production is always aware of you, and they're saying, listen, that PA has been really great. Maybe we could use him in locations. Maybe we can use him in as a third AD. Maybe we can put him over here. We've gotten to know him a little bit. We trust him a little bit more. And he said, wow, I really want to get into camera. Maybe there's a camera assist, everyone likes to promote within and see friendly faces. So it's like just getting out there, getting on the set, as many sets as possible. Those are how a very organic working relationships start. And you can really build off that. You can build off that momentum.
That's awesome.
So coming out of Sheridan College, or in that phase, what was the first big project that made you feel like that made you nervous, that made your knees shake a little bit?
Project.
Every project.
Because every project comes with this new challenge. I remember like coming out of school, I was working primarily a lot in kind of live entertainment, coming right out of school. But I did a music video. I think my first like big music video was for Theory of a Dead Man, and it was big. I believe it ended up getting like over 3 million views on YouTube or something. But it was big. It was a smaller project in comparison to some of the music videos I did just following. But I got to work with an amazing team, and it was like a very cool experience. And then a couple months later, we did Megadeth, which was very big for me. So it was like really awesome. And then we got to do like Motley Crue's like final video of all time, and like it started to really like pick up. But there was definitely, every project comes with this like a lot of eyes, a lot of people, because we were always mixing it up too. And like sometimes we would do music videos for different labels or different networks, or some were a grant, so you always wanted to impress and always wanted to give your best. So there's always, still to this day, I always get like a little ooh, like it's again, like that roller coaster, like it's going up and up and up and up, and you're like, okay, this is exciting, and then it's like, oh man, we're almost at the top. So
because the thing is, if you keep knocking it out the park, that kind of becomes the expectation.
Totally.
That you got to knock it out the park now.
Yeah.
Again and again and again. So it gets the tension just builds. Fantastic.
What was do you remember the name of the Theory of a Dead Man video? Hurricane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hurricane.
And so you moved
lyric video it was called, and they had like the lyrics like go like this, and there was like a model, and she was like, ripping up the lyrics, and they were kind of like going all over the wall and stuff. But yeah, it was called Hurricane.
All right, I'm gonna post that link in the thingy.
That was so long ago.
Yeah. This is what it's all about.
Different lifetime.
So what was the first? Now, when did you start working with Black Fawn Films? When did you guys? Now, did you kind of get started with them from the beginning?
No, it was going on for years before me. They had like countless films. I was aware of them. I met an actor named Rye Barrett. I met him first, and I met him in college. Oh, amazing! Yeah, I met him in college. I interned in the grip and lighting department, and he was one of the actors on the show. And we ended up talking because I would wear like a silly comic book shirt or a movie shirt every day, different one every day. And he would always try to guess tomorrow's or things like that. So we bonded, and then about a year and a half later, he was working on this proof of concept trailer, and asked if I wanted to come out. And I just got back from backpacking Europe, and I was like, sure, like I'm in. Like I just moved back from Ottawa, where I was living, and at the time, and he said, do you want to come to set? And I was like, yeah, no problem. And I showed up on set, but I got kind of turned around because it was in like a parking garage, so like everything kind of looked the same. And the only phone number on the call sheet didn't have a name next to it, but it was the only person I knew on the team. So I assumed it was Rye Barrett's phone number. And I called, and someone answered, and they're like, hello. And I was like, hi, I'm Chris. I'm here working on this video today. You're the only phone number. And I got locked in this parking garage staircase, and I don't know where to go. And the door opened, and that was Chad Archibald. And that's how I met Chad. He saved me from the parking garage staircase in Guelph, Ontario. And we became friends, and we became very close. And we started doing a lot of projects together. So that was, I want to say 2010, 2011. And yeah, we just went to work. Like we did so many projects back to back, whether it was music videos or features and things like that. But the company was going on with Chad and Cody, who were the original creators and owners, far before I came on. They did movies called Kill, and they produced If a Tree Falls. They did Never Lost, Bounty Hunters. So they did
they did a lot of films.
They did like 5 or 6, and they had premieres at Fantasia and all that stuff way before I came on. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what was the first feature that you really worked with them on as a producer? Do you remember?
That would be Antisocial One. Yeah. So like we did, we helped some other filmmakers from Collingwood make movies called Ejecta, Septic Man, and Hellmouth. We did those to help out another team, and we were all friends, and so we went up and shot like 3 back-to-back movies in Collingwood. And when we got back after the third one, Chad and Cody were having meetings at Breakthrough Entertainment, and they were pitching, and they liked one of the concepts, and it got greenlit, and virtually we started a couple weeks later to getting things off the ground.
I remember Ejecta.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rye was in that. Am I right?
Rye was in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching it on Netflix and being like, "Hey, I know that guy."
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
It was great.
Was that? Just remind me. Was it Julian
Richings? Yeah, which was funny because I got to I worked with them. That was the first feature I ever worked on, like in the horror genre as a production manager. And I just did my 20th feature a couple months ago, and Julian was the lead of that too. So it felt real full circle for me to work with Julian again after 19 other movies. So.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I think I literally cannot remember when I met you for the first time, but I think it was you and Chad and some other folks giving a talk in Hamilton, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
about like
maybe
yeah, I think so. And it was like maybe I think it might have been Black Fawn Distribution that was giving
I think it was Black Fawn
about.
Distribution. I think Tony Burgess was there, who wrote Pontypool, and I think Julian Richings was there too.
Yeah. What at what point did you guys create the distribution company, and why? Like,
so the distribution company again was around before me. It was around when they put out a movie called If a Tree Falls, which is like a real Canadian grindhouse movie from Gabriel Carrere. So they were, Black Fawn Distribution was around, and they would go to events like Shockstock and stuff like that all the time when I was first meeting them, and I would kind of just tag along and go to these events and go to these conventions. And then before you know it, I was kind of working the booth. And then before you know it, I was kind of selling DVDs. And I was like, wow, this is like kind of fun. And but it got started because like the independent scene is, it's a tough scene. It's a fun scene. It's a very supportive scene, but it's tough. And they wanted to create a company that was a little bit more accessible, especially for first-time filmmakers or, really passionate filmmakers trying to get genre content out into the world. So, we started with just releasing kind of movies that they made in-house. And then we started acquiring other titles of films that we really enjoyed that thought should have kind of a sweet release and someone to rally behind them to get them out there. So we picked up other movies, Legend of the Psychotic Forest Ranger. We picked up The Door. We picked up Horsehead. And we started to push movies in Canada more and more. And we started to get some traction. And we kind of got together and said, like, what if instead of just selling, going to convention, like, what if we had a bit of an online store? And what if we made partnerships with stores? And, what if we reached out to other filmmakers? And what if we started presenting things ourselves? And it really kind of picked up steam. And also it kind of feels like being in a band, because it's like you just hang out with these guys on weekends at events.
Right.
And none of us play any like sports or musical instruments. So this is kind of like our band. We kind of like adapted these kind of almost like weekend warrior type mentality, where you go to signings or you go to conventions or Comic-Cons or whatever, and you get to just hang out and talk about horror movies. So it's been a blast, like an absolute blast.
You were involved with Byte.
Yes.
And Sublet. I have to say, I still think Sublet, I feel like still has like a pretty special spot in my heart, because now, were you involved with Bed of the Dead as well? Or?
Yeah, I got the poster behind me.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Oh, I can't see it, but okay. You guys kind of went through a series of films, and I will say, like, for me, Sublet was something completely different.
Yeah, it was very psychological, more so than the body horror and stuff like that.
I loved it. But I wanted to ask you, for Byte, it seemed like you guys went on vacation.
We did.
What happened? What happened there? Did you actually? I don't know if you're allowed to say, but did you get permits and stuff, or did you just like go on vacation to the tropics and
it was a hybrid. We definitely got like permission when we were there to shoot, but it started as just like we just wanted to get some found footage. So there weren't a lot of like huge like scenes, but we did want to go on vacation. Is definitely something we were all planning on going, and we decided to fly the actresses down and just do some fun filming. But that was after the movie was wrapped. So
is that right?
We shot the majority of the movie. And then right after New Year's that year, we all flew down for a week.
You're like, let's celebrate. But while we're celebrating,
was that part of the plan, or what? Did you always know you were going to do that, or did you?
We always knew we were going to do something. How many people were going to go and to what extent was kind of constantly evolving. But we had a blast. That was super fun. But it was an experience that we speak very fondly of, because it was a great time. It's also where they shot the opening scene for the original Jurassic Park. So like when he's going to find like the little amber and they're pulling him on the boat, like that's where we shot it. And so it was fun, like shooting where they shot Jurassic Park. But to find the motivation when you're in such a beautiful country, laying on a beach, to go hike up a mountain with camera strapped to your back because there's no motorized vehicles that can get there, it's hard to find that motivation. But we were able to find it, but it was fun. It was fun for sure.
Just give people like a one-liner for what Byte is all about.
It's a body horror film where a girl gets bitten by a bug while on a bachelorette party and starts to turn into that bug when she's home. So
it's wonderful. It's gross.
You
should check it out. At what point did you, and has this always been the case? At what point did you become a full-time filmmaker?
I think probably in and around, like, working as producer or camera, or, still wearing a lot of different hats. I've more or less been doing it steady for, I would say, probably 13 years. I think that was the last time I had like a job that didn't involve like, live concerts or things like that. Probably for about 13 years. Yeah. But just producing,
let's say
probably about like almost 5 years, with the odd camera gig here and there, just because I love it. But I would say about 5 years.
And when have you always been producing stuff outside of Black Fawn, or what did you get to a kind of a point where you had been working with them for a while and you started to take on other gigs as well?
Yeah, so definitely like Black Fawn's always like, like my home, like my passion, especially the distribution company now, because I definitely work there, as much as I can. Recently, like I was getting some other offers to produce some other films with some other friends of mine that we worked on, and I have worked on films over the past couple of years that weren't just Black Fawn. I did like a movie James Franco shot up here, and like a couple other projects that were shot here as well. But a friend of mine wanted to make his directing debut, and 2 years ago he approached me to ask if I would just produce this one-off project with him, and that kind of turned into kind of like 2 back-to-back right away. And with that company, it was Vortex Words and Pictures, and about a year ago, they asked me to stay on and run some movies for them for about a year. So, as much as I'm still, very much good friends with Chad and Cody, and just celebrated the Oak Room with them last week. Like that was my most recent Black Fawn film. They did other films since. They did a movie called Vicious Fun. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to help out on that one because I had other film shooting at the same time. But right now, I'm currently just producing for Vortex Words and Pictures, who most famously did Wolf Cop and Another Wolf Cop and those movies. So primarily working with those guys for sure, but also obviously like my roots run deep with the Black Fawn boys, and I was so proud of the Oak Room, and so happy to have just a teeny tiny small role in being the associate producer on that. But it was definitely like, Chad and Cody's baby for sure. And as of right now, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is just so huge when Inception is only 85. So it's definitely a dream come true.
That is awesome.
To have the reviews that are coming in, and it's been so great to celebrate with them. But I've been doing mainly outside Black Fawn stuff for about 2 years now, minus the Oak Room, which was kind of already in place before making the jump. And so now I've been doing, I think, like seven or 8 films since the Oak Room was actually shot. So.
Give us like when you look through your IMDb list, okay, you see executive producer, associate producer, line producer. Describe to people the different kind of hats that you wear when you get involved with different things, and what some of those pieces mean. If that,
yeah, for sure. I think that I definitely take a more hands-on approach to producing than most. Like I like to be right in it. So there's definitely executive producing where it's primarily you're working on funds and things like that you're kind of getting that in order. There's producing that you're kind of running the ship to some degree, at least the business aspects of the ship. And now I work with like amazing producers like Bill Marks and Jesse Eichman and Justin Rebello, and it's in a crazy producing team that I get to be a part of and do the movies that I do now. And then line producers is the guy that's kind of running the day-to-day, kind of overseeing today and tomorrow, when the producer is kind of seeing to the end of the week, to the end of the month, to the end of the post schedule. And an associate producer and kind of co-producers are people that are kind of helping put things in line and kind of put the last pieces of the puzzle together, whether that's in an organization kind of structure, or whether that's, helping, get a last studio or, a big arrangement when it comes to gear, things like that, kind of just supporting the film any way that's possible. So kind of all falls within just good organization and communication.
Yeah,
just
totally.
Making it happen.
Yeah.
Totally.
So now the filmmaking process is a very long one.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of your favorite parts? Like, is it the beginning, or is it the very end when you're seeing it on the screen? What part is your
very nerve-wracking part of the process, seeing on the screen? And I also have a rule that the last time I ever watched the movie is at its world premiere, and then I never watch them again.
What?
So that is, it's been super fun. I've seen little clips.
That feels like a good rule.
That is a good rule, actually.
Once,
I feel like we have the same rule.
Yeah.
And it's been cool. It's been fun. Sometimes people are like, let's sit down and watch it. And I'm like, here's the Blu-ray, and please enjoy. But
you guys don't understand that I have a rule, and
I have a rule
right here, and
so
I tattooed it on my.
Can't break it. So that's the last time I watch it. But it's amazing because it's the best last viewing, because it's the first time an audience is seeing it. They're reacting. They're oohing, they're awing, we've had clapping and cheering, and people throw up, and it's been a wild experience because that is going to be the best viewing. So that's the last time I ever watch it. But I don't know. I love shooting. I love being on set. I love prep. I'm huge on prep. I'm prepping a new movie right now, and I love it. It's very collaborative. Yeah. I like working with the director and going out on location scouts and working with trying to find good actors and things like that. I'm not a massively technical guy, so the editing and sound mixing and sound editing and all that stuff is very lost on me. And I'm so fortunate to have a line producer on my team named James Young, and he is a wizard when it comes to tech. So I do sometimes rely too heavily on him in post, but he's so awesome. And I work with another guy named Evan Otoni, who's an amazing line producer that's kind of been running a lot of our posts as well. So it's great. But the prep, love the prep, because I'm super organized. And even when you were joking earlier, Adrian, about Jay not sitting completely in front of the two doors correctly, like I was like, oh, thank you. I'm glad you said something and not me.
You guys relax.
Just chill out.
If I adjust my screen, it'll change his. But I'm the same way. I'm a huge organization communication guy. So in prep, it's all about communication and organization. So it's where I strive. I got my notebook and my laptop, and I go everywhere with it. So
amazing.
Great, you're producing this show now, so that's fine.
From afar,
It took him 10 minutes.
You've done some holiday movies.
Sure. Yes.
Which have probably, I assume, been a slight departure from the blood and guts horror movies. But tell us a little bit about what it's like working on, W Network or Hallmark style, just movies in general, or Christmas movies in general.
I love it, and it's a blast. And I'm not just saying that because they pay me to say that. I'm saying it because it's amazing and it's so much fun. The reason I really started to get attracted to the holiday romance and the more MOW style was the one thing I love about the horror genre and even the comic book genre and the sci-fi genre is that the fans are super passionate. And I find that fans of some other genres, like dramas, you can be like a big, passionate drama fan, but there isn't like, specific,
right,
drama-centric groups and organizations and conventions and whatever for all these dramatic pieces. With horror and sci-fi and comic books, like if you're a fan, it's the best time to be a fan ever, because there's all these events and online conventions and Disney Plus, and it's endless. When it comes to holiday romance, that fandom is huge. People,
my wife is in there.
Them. They love them. They don't kind of like them. They don't like, oh, I'll watch it if it's on. They love it. It's huge and it's amazing. And I respect that so much as being a crazy fan. I'm a fanboy. I have an Infinity Gauntlet in the background. Like I am a definition of a crazy fanboy, and making content for other fans is what is the best part of making movies. It's not about, crazy box office. It's about, I always joke, it's about asses in seats. It's about people that want to come out and watch the movie, or watch the movie at home, or just watch the movie from wherever. And making genre films, you have that hungry audience of people that like zombie movies, or people that like alien movies, or people that like vampire movies. Well, in this movie, in this genre, it's like people that like Christmas movies, or people that make like summer romance movies, or people that like Christmas movies in July. Like there's a subgenre of a subgenre, and the fandom is huge, and people go really, really crazy for these films. And it's so much fun because that fandom is huge. There's Christmas conventions now in the US where you can come meet these Christmas stars.
What?
Wow.
It's crazy. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, I totally believe it, because when I watch my wife and my mother movie, yes,
Adrian, you're cutting
Hello.
out there, bro.
But
Back.
when I watch my wife and my mother-in-law and the way that they watch these Christmas movies, they watch them with like a ferocity. They'll watch 3 in a day, no
There's
problem.
This is like a Netflix thing where it's like, I need to watch the next episode. And
I was going to say the same thing. Anne is like, listen, I don't care if it's good. I'm just going to watch all of them.
Good, bad, happy, or sad. Let's put them all on right now. Like, it's
sometimes you watch one, you're like, what is happening here?
Yeah. Don't worry. You'll pick it up in the second act. But
she loves
it's amazing. And it comes with brand new challenges, right? It comes like, how do you make it snow in August, which I had to do 2 weeks ago? It's like, how do you make Main Street look like, December 24th when it's like Dundas in the summertime? Yeah. Like, it comes with its own hurdles and its own challenges. And instead of a blood cannon, it's a snow cannon. Right. And we were on a movie back in February and January where it was supposed to snow, but we got no snow and we have an outside scene. So I remember back doing, practical effects on set where you get this like blood pump. You get it from the dollar store and you fill it with blood, and it's like a Hudson sprayer, like what you'd spray your plants and stuff with. Mm-hmm. So I was like, we used to use these as to spray blood in horror movies and music videos. So I went down to Dollarama. We got a bunch of these Hudson sprayers. We filled them half with male shaving cream and water, and we stirred it up. And with the Hudson sprayer, it sprayed white foam everywhere. And that was our snow for all of our hedges. And it's in the movie. You can't tell that it's not snow. But I would only have known that trick doing so many blood gags. So it's similar, but it's different.
Good work, Chris. Good work.
Amazing. Come on.
Yes.
Great.
Save the day.
So tell us about some of the most recently, you now, was A Perfect Plan what you were talking about with your buddy, or was that how did that come up?
That was Perfect Plan was the first movie we did together. It was Jesse Eichmann, who's now one of my producing partners, and he directed it and produced it and co-wrote it. So he came to me and said, I want to do something. Let's do this. And it was great.
Let's talk about, now this may not be the first one for you, but I'm just thinking out loud. But in A Perfect Plan, you had William Forsythe as an example. What is your experience getting named actors in smaller type indie films? Sure. Does this one classify as an indie film, would you say?
Yeah, I think it's indie for sure.
Yeah.
It didn't have a major studio or anything attached to it, so it was a heist thriller drama, action-y type film. It was great, but like it was a challenge to find out who was right for the part. We definitely went out to a bunch of people for various parts for various films, and sometimes you hear really positive things back. Sometimes you don't hear back at all. But when we approached William for the role, he was really excited. He was really pumped, and we got to spend a lot of time on set together and spent most of the off times together as well, just talking about Devil's Rejects, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. So I definitely talked his ear off just about that film.
Yeah.
But he was pumped. He was excited, and he was so dedicated. And Carlo Rota as well. Like that guy was in it. Like from the moment he was on set. Yannick from Murdoch Mysteries and Kathleen Monroe. Like everyone had done so many things that I was familiar with. Like Kathleen's in The Void. Carlo Rota's on 24. Like everyone knew like these people that were stepping onto the set, and they were there to make the best movie. Like they were pushing it every day. They were, we were shooting long days because we only had the actors for such a short period of time. But it was great. It was great. And obviously sometimes you make offers to some people and they just, they politely pass, and that's just the way it is, but once you find the right people, it's fantastic. It's like lightning in a bottle.
And I suppose that is the difference working with professional actors. They bring, make it happen.
If we had a professional podcaster, he would not have slow internet connection. Just saying.
It's a collective. We're all streaming on the internet.
Bro.
It's just crazy, and it's pulling Adrian. It's pulling them.
Bro, it's embarrassing. Okay.
Okay, so listen, I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize
I'm into it.
for the slow
The
intro.
dramatic pauses. It's like it's turning. I'm into it.
Again, I'm frozen again.
You're good. You're good.
Okay, so Chris, can you talk a little bit about one of the more difficult experiences that you've had on set? You don't really, we're not interested in like naming names, but something
Sure.
where I suppose it's a liken to getting a bit of a kick in the gut, where you're like, "Ooh, that really hurts."
You have to get up quick. But yeah, I think that there's probably, I always joke there's an oh yeah moment and there's an oh shit moment on every film. And there's always that moment that you walk away and you're like, I'm going to tell this story forever because I never knew it was going to turn out this good or this awesome, or I can't believe that actually worked. And there's always going to be a moment where you're like, well, that is just horrible. How did that happen?
I am never going to tell this story because
I'm never going to tell anyone, right? But a fun one, which I will tell, is when we were shooting The Heretics, we were out very remotely in this cabin. And there was one of the days we had a bunch of people, and I think you were out there, and there was a rainstorm.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of like huddled in the cabin. And when we were shooting the behind the scenes, we were asking everyone like, what's like a silly story on set? And everyone was talking about this scene where we had all these cult members, and they were all in masks and wardrobe and things like that. And we had like our big hero fight scene day, and the rain was crazy. It was crazy. And all the actors were saying like, oh, it was crazy. We were all hovered in this cabin. It was crazy. It was so much fun. And Cody and I were there being like, I don't remember that. Like this wholesome moment where we were all just like in a cabin waiting out a rainstorm. And then we remembered that exact moment where everyone has this great memory. We were in this 3-person tent, this like office tent, getting just demolished by this storm. And the ceiling was in 3 pockets, and it was like something out of Jurassic Park. Like the furthest one went and the ceiling collapsed, and then the next ceiling panel collapsed. And Cody and I had like enough time to like look at each other and then like leap over the printer. And then the roof went, and we're trying to like shovel, as much gear, laptops into Chad's truck, and like we've got all this technology piled around us just waiting out the storm. Meanwhile, everyone's like, oh, we're in this cabin, and it was like this cute moment, and it's like something I'll carry with me for the rest of my days, this camaraderie day. And I was like, Cody and I were like in a storm trying to like protect like a printer. And it's just funny how someone's best day on set was also my worst day on set. So
listen, everyone.
Oh yeah moment and oh shit moment for sure.
Go and watch The Heretics, and keep an eye out for me.
Yeah, you're in there. But it was a crazy day.
So was Connor, and so was Wirtz, who plays the lead in our movie Shifted. He's amazing.
It was very remote.
It was amazing. Is that cabin still standing?
Still standing.
This is what I hear. They built a cabin in the woods and
the ground up with recycled wood.
So amazing.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
what about
something that I have noticed is just that the production people and the people who are making the movie, there is like a separation between the people carrying the light stands and the people who are doing the performance. Like I find there is a distinct separation that happens there, because a lot of people who are carrying light stands and sandbags would be out in the rain.
Sure.
And the people who are like, and the actors, they have to wait for their time to shine, which is the performance.
Of course.
And so they're huddled nicely in the cabin.
Yeah.
So there is a little line. As much as you're a family making stuff, you got to do different things.
Yeah,
for sure. But I think that there's definitely a line for sure in some regards, because obviously but everyone requires a lot of focus. And I think that, yes, there is some lines and some industry lines that, but that's more set etiquette than the lines. The way like we work and the way Black Fawn works or how we work at Vortex is that you can't take anyone out of the equation. And I just wrapped a movie post-COVID, and I can tell you that no one is more important or less important on one of my sets. And the reason why is because the reason it's so smooth is because of the whole machine. And whether you're a driver picking up an actor, you know, the actor could have health conditions. It could have, you know, they could be elderly, especially in post-COVID. Like the respect from the driver feeds the respect of the person they're picking up, who feeds the respect of when they come out on set and meet everybody, or to the makeup artist. And it's so important. And I think that there obviously is, you know, some people that are bosses and some people that are, you know, members of the team that work under people for sure. But I feel like it's very important to have everybody on the same page. And we've been very fortunate with the performers that we worked with, as well as, you know, some of the directors that have flown up from the US. Is like, I feel like they see how we work, and it's very different than the average film set. We're always trying to improve the working conditions, and we're always trying to work together. And I think it's great how everybody works together, and just because someone's role seems more glamorous, it's definitely not necessarily more important.
I always find it's nice to see when the crew it's almost like a source of pride, right? That they're going to be like, no, I'll hold on eating because I want to make sure that this thing is set up, and yet I'm going to slog, and I'm going to do the thing so that everybody can bring their A game to the table. I'm going to do my job so that they can do their job.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's sometimes you get some crew that are so instrumental to just
100%.
making everybody's life easier, right? Because
100%.
they care. They're there to do a thing, and they're there to do it really well.
Something I really love about the machinery of a film set is that everybody shines at a different moment. Like everybody is the most important person at some stage in the day.
100%.
Like your transport at the beginning of the day, the most important person is the transport person.
Yeah.
And at some stage, then you got your lighting, and at some stage, everybody's at the top of the mountain at a different point in the day. And then when the cameras are rolling, you know, now it's your focus puller, your operator, and your actors who are the top of the mountain,
or your location sound.
Yeah.
Or your script supervisor.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many people. It's a find oiled machine. You can't remove one person and expect the same results, you know. So it's great.
We are building towards using all of these people. Like, our productions haven't yet been big enough that we've had like a full crew of people. So we're actually just excited to be able to be moving in that direction, where one day we will have a script supervisor.
Yeah.
You know, we've never made anything with a script supervisor, so we don't really know what we're missing.
Yeah.
We do it.
There you go. But it's being done. You're just doing it. So you do have a script supervisor. It's just you guys, right? So,
and then when we fuck up, we're like,
say,
I wish I had a
script
supervisor.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys, honestly, we talk about you, and we talk about all the Black Fawn boys with like a reverence. You know, we're trying to be those guys, and that's where, you know, we're not always making horror, but but that you guys have been like an inspiration, where we watch the things that 100%. You're doing, and we work towards improving our game every time, and trying to come out with, you know, content after content after content. And so you guys have been really fun to follow. You may not know that we're on trying to be on your heels, but that's for us. When we talk to other people, we always bring you guys up. You know, when we're talking to other production houses or other distributors and stuff, your names tend to come up because you're like our
we're working towards trying to do the kinds of things that you guys have been doing. So we kind of trying to move in that same direction as you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys are in post now with projects, and you know, have been making great content for quite some time. So it's awesome. And I think that the amazing thing with the industry in general, which is something I really like about it, is it's very collaborative. There's a real rich sense of community. Everybody wants everybody else in the industry to do well. No one's out here being like, oh, I hope these guys fail. Like, they want everyone to do well, and there's opportunities where we can help other filmmakers, whether that's in a Black Fawn distribution capacity where we pick up their film and distribute it and run with it. But we've had other films that people have come to us and they said, we really want you to pick up this movie, and it might not be the right fit for various reasons, but we point them in the direction and say, what, you might want to try over here, or like maybe we can help you self-distribute it, or maybe we can at least do a press release for you that you can send out to some contacts to generate some buzz. Like, we always want everyone to do well, and I think that that's what the industry is so supportive, especially in Canada, that everyone's on the same team.
It's not a competition. There's just it's so difficult to get people watching your stuff, and sure. everybody knows it, and we try to help each other out whenever we can, for sure.
And listen, it's I feel it all the time. The industry is, as a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but we can get real for a moment, right? The industry's tough. It's a tough industry.
Oh yeah.
And the wins are so sweet, but the losses are mega.
Yeah,
and
frequent.
And take a long time.
And they're all the time. And there's very few moments where you're like, good. Yeah, good. It's either like, whoa, or like, oh no, right? And they happen all the time.
And even when it's like, whoa, it's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
What are we working on now?
It turns off quick. There was 2 projects I was supposed to do last year, and both of them got canceled. One, like a week before we were going to start like real official prep, and the other one like 2 weeks before that. They just, for various reasons, they just fell apart. And I put a lot of effort and time into trying to get those films off the ground, and they just disappeared. And who knows if they'll ever come back. There's obviously, other films that filled their place, but they go away and they come back, or they don't, and new things do. And it's a roller coaster for sure. That's why there's very few moments where you're like in between. It's either like, wow, or like, ugh. So
you really gotta. So maybe the thing to do is to really cherish those wins.
Oh yeah, you gotta. And I say it all the time. I say small wins. Like, this is a small win. It's not even like a big win. Like today we got like a good deal on like portable washrooms. Like that's a win. It's not a huge win, but it's a win. And we're closer to locking some locations for a new movie I have coming up, and it's like we haven't even locked them yet, but like there's some good negotiations. Things are feeling good, and like you got to celebrate that win too, right? It might all change, but got to.
It's funny. Like even today, I was like, yeah, I set up a meeting to talk to a guy.
Yeah, small wins.
I know it sounds so dumb, but you're like, you gotta try to keep everything moving,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, Chris, what would be like? What is if you could make any movie that you wanted to make? Money was no option.
No option.
No, or no object. You didn't have to worry about money at all. You could just make any movie.
Chris can dream big. Okay. Sometimes we ask, folks that are just starting out. Now, Chris is going to come to us with.
Yeah. He's got 13 years of full-time filmmaker experience behind him.
It would be really tough. I think that I'm a massive Star Wars fan and mega Marvel fan. That that would be like a no-brainer. I think that it would be awesome to just do anything. Like I would just forget make a Star Wars movie. Like put me in the background in a stormtrooper outfit.
Which comic book hero movie do you want to make?
I'd love to do Lobo. I think that'd be rad.
Oh,
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that is probably the most violent comic book I ever read in my whole life. Was that?
I really liked reading The Boys. I haven't seen the show yet, but I really liked reading that.
The Boys is awesome. I watched the first season with my then 14-year-old, and we are getting ready to watch season 2.
Yeah, that looks rad, and the comic book
awesome.
Is very dark.
Let me tell you something about the show.
It's dark.
Yeah. When you remember those first few scenes from the comic book, woo. Yeah. The show does it. I showed Adrian about the first 45 seconds of the show, maybe the first minute and a half. He was like, "Oh, okay, I got to watch this show."
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
I really like that. So, but I love the comic book movies. I think they're a blast. I love Star Wars as well, so that would be great.
We do ask all of our guests also, if you we're stranded on a desert island, and you can bring the 3 movies that you want to watch over and over again. Obviously, it's going to be none of yours because you're never watching them again.
I would not.
So
Yeah.
what
They're all
what would be
displayed
the
right here, though.
what? That's right. What would be the 3 movies you would bring that you love, that are like your guilty pleasures that you want to bring and watch again and again?
For sure. My number one is The Beyond. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. It's an Italian horror movie. That's my all-time fave. I collect posters and memorabilia from the film all over the globe, and it's absolutely my favorite. So I would definitely bring that. I can watch it on repeat endlessly.
I've never seen it.
I would bring Empire Strikes Back, for sure. And I don't know, guilty pleasure. It's probably the film that in the last 15 years I've watched the most, but I would probably bring Infinity War, which I just love.
Cool.
Amazing. That's amazing. Go ahead.
And what would you say is probably the biggest lesson that you've learned in, as a producer, working as a producer? What's one of the hardest lessons, or what are the biggest lessons you've learned?
I think one of the biggest lessons is definitely like communicating with where you want to be and who you want to be with is very important. And I think that you spend so much time on set or planning or in an editing studio that the people around you, you see more often than loved ones or family or whatever. Yeah. You get bonded quick. And because you're there, you're present, and everyone's working towards the same goal. But I think having communication with departments, having good communication with your crew, explaining what is going on, whether it's about the project or whether you're sleeping or if you're not jiving with someone on set. I think clearing the air, I think being able to kind of discuss the process as it's ongoing is so important. And I think that because you spend so much time with people, good and bad, and we've dealt with everything under the sun with our crews over the years of deaths in their family, all the way to people getting engaged. Like you're there, and I think just good communication, whether that's good communication between departments or good communication with a director's vision, or good communication of how we're pulling off this stunt, or good communication of where the bathrooms are going to be on set, especially in a post-COVID world. I think just outlining where everything is and how you feel about it, is so important. And I think that a lot of people, especially independent filmmakers, take this weight of the world on their shoulders and say, it's my responsibility if this movie goes. It's my responsibility. It's such a collaborative effort. And I think that sharing some of that load and that weight with the rest of the team or co-collaborators or other producers or content creators, it lightens the load, and there's people out there that want to make that content with you. Whether it's, and it's so important. And I think that especially in today's climate where, the last couple months, we haven't had that much physical interaction, still communicating. I've been working and planning and in pre-production during this whole time, working from home and working remotely. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm the type of producer that likes to get in there, and it's very hard to communicate with people over Skype and video chat, which is something that I wasn't massive on before, and now I do it every day. I do it 8 times a day, and I think that having that communication and keeping that structure going, even during difficult times, was very important. And I think the communication that between crews, between performers, between everybody is the best. It makes or breaks the whole shoot. Yeah,
sharing the load. Sharing the communication and sharing the load. Those are really important things. Amazing. Great advice. Thank you so much, Chris. That's awesome.
Chris, we're going to sign off now, and we've got a particular way. If you have something that you'd like to say, you can follow up after we go. Are you ready?
Sure, absolutely.
Here we go. All right, so everyone, thanks again. And now, listen, before we sign off, actually, let me just ask this question. Adrian, do you want to give a quick shifted update to people? Listen, we've still got 6 people watching still to this whole time.
That's amazing. Just with Shifted, we're busy running through post audio right now, and the VFX list is done, the ADR list is done. We have some reshoots to do, and other than that, I don't know. The score is getting made, and I'm excited.
The score is very exciting. There's
Yeah.
some violin in there. You guys
Yeah.
are going to love it. So yeah, a little bit more work to do, but we're getting close.
The mountain is
Very
high.
close.
The mountain is high, but it's one scene at a time. That's kind of the way that I take it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do one scene, and then another scene.
This is what we
Let's
have to do. All right, everyone. Listen, thanks again for watching. This has been First Frames First, the podcast of the Fable Forest. Dream big. Okay, now you're supposed to say.
No, it's me.
No, Adrian.
Oh.
Are you?
We can't see who you're pointing to. I actually froze, so I don't know what happened there.
All right. See, this is what happens.
Take two. Again.
Okay.
From the top.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Dream big.
Work hard. And it's your turn, Chris. Now you gotta say something inspirational. Yeah, you gotta. Now it's time for
Jay's
some
explanation was terrible.
Inspirational words from our.
Words. Can I freeze at this dramatic time? Just I always say producing is like working on mysteries without any clues. It's from a Bob Seger song, so it's how I describe producing. So get out there and start solving mysteries without any clues.
Oh.
That was
Very
awesome.
nice.
Well done.
That was nice. See you later, guys.
Bye, guys.
Really hope you enjoyed the show.
Wherever you watched or listened, please leave us a comment or a review. We really want to hear from you.
Share the show with a friend. You know they'll love us.
Head over to our website, thefableforest.com. There's all kinds of great stuff.
Poke around. Check it out.
See you all again in a couple weeks.